What is going on, family? Welcome back to Keeping It P. I'm your host, Prince. I'm so glad that you guys are here with me today. We have a very, very, very special episode. And before we get into it, I know you see it. I know you see the vibes. I know you see the level up. We're here and we ain't come to play. So I got a special guest in the room with me today, and I'm super, super honored to have someone else here so we can get some different perspective. I got my boy Kevin. Kevin, welcome to the pod,
What's up,
man.
guys?
What's up?
It's
Tell the
great to
people a
be
little bit
here.
about yourself.
So, I'm a videographer. I've been doing it for 4 years, hopefully forever now.
Yeah.
And I love it. And essentially, my goal is just to help people, guide people the right way, and make sure that they're not following the wrong path. And it's going to dive deep into what we talked about today. Everything, intention, just journaling, just self-healing, self-love, and hopefully it reaches a lot of people.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank
I'm
you.
grateful. Thank you for joining me today.
Of course.
We're going to jump right into it. And I told you guys already, the only thing that you're going to need, it is a requirement. It's not an option. The one thing that you're going to need to enjoy this experience with me is going to be a journal. And today we're going to be talking about the power of journaling. And I'm going to share with you guys how it's impacted and changed my life. And I know it can do the same for you. You feel me? Not only are we going to talk about journaling, but we're also going to talk about the power of leading and living with pure intentions. And last but not least, the one thing that I feel like you guys are most curious about is how I manifested my soulmate, my partner, my beautiful wife. And I'm gonna give you guys the recipe. Grab your journals and grab your favorite pen, and let's get right into it. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of us are walking around lost, and we're walking around on autopilot, and we're doing the same shit and having the same thoughts and going through the same battles and faced with the same obstacles day after day, year after year. We're now towards the end of March. How are we looking on those goals that we set in January? Are we actually showing up for ourselves? Are we actually doing the things that we said we were going to do?
You were talking about those goals that we set in January, and I think one of the most important things is to love yourself in order to make those things happen.
Absolutely. You know, self-love is the relationship that we have with ourselves is the most important. The relationship that we have with God and ourselves is the most important relationship that we'll ever have, because ourselves, like you're gonna have yourself throughout your whole life. You know what I mean? And you take you with you everywhere that you go. There's one person that you for sure will always have, and that's you. And journaling is a tool that connects you to yourself. And it's something that's really, really simple. And it's also extremely easy to do. It's very, very easy to take 5 minutes out of your day and have journaling be a part of your routine. But here's the catch. It's also extremely easy not to do. You feel what I'm saying? And throughout my journey, especially my spiritual awakening and my journey of becoming more conscious, more aware, and more intentional, journaling has hands down been the number one tool for me. And I could tell you that there is no better feeling than writing down a plan, writing down a vision, and looking back and saying, damn, that shit really, really happened. So back in 2022 was when, I used to journal even as a kid. I had a diary. And I wish I had a copy of my childhood diary. My aunt actually has it. She's supposed to give it to me. And I cannot wait to the day that I can get my hands on it. But back in 2020, when I was in a really confusing spot in my life, and this is back when I worked at AAA, and I was simultaneously building my YouTube career as well. And I just got to a point where it felt almost impossible to do the job, and this was after a month that I hit my biggest sales goal, like, I crushed it. I was a killer. I told you guys I was stone cold at sales, and I had my biggest month ever, and it was in March. And the following month in April, a week and a half went by, and I couldn't sell one auto insurance policy, and that's when I got into my journal because I felt my soul calling for something different, calling for something more. And at that point, at that time, I didn't know exactly what it was and I didn't know exactly what it meant. But the journal that I showed you guys in episode 1, which was actually a AAA book, the very first page of that journal, I wrote down my intentions for my new journey. And again, like, I wasn't super conscious. I didn't exactly know what I was doing or where this would have led me. But there was a list of 10 things that I put on that very first page, and it was things that I wanted to happen. One of those things was connecting with my daughter. I wanted to dream my daughter because I didn't really have dreams of my daughter. I wanted to identify my purpose. I wanted to become closer to God. Um, and I wanted to read X amount of books. So I put that all on the very first page of that journal. And as I go back and look at that very first page, every single thing that I wrote down, I have experienced, I have tasted. And it's so crazy because 2 days after I made that list, I had a dream with my daughter in it. And it's a profound, it's really profound to open up your journal, look back at it, look back at some entries and things that you wrote, and be able to see the shift and to see the change in your life. And I know, and I sometimes forget to journal as well, but these days I'm getting real serious about my journaling because I do understand how much it's impacted and changed my life. You get what I'm saying? And as I look at the comments and even have conversations with, people in my everyday life that's also listening to the podcast, shout out to my people that's tapping in, but they tell me the same thing. Oh, I have a journal, I haven't cracked it, I haven't wrote in it. Even my wife, even my wife, um, is not, taking the direction and writing in that journal. But it hit me the other day, and the reason why I wanted to dive a little bit deeper into this is because while I'm telling you guys you need a journal, you need a journal, you need a journal, I really want to talk about why, and I want to give you some real life examples of how it can transform your life. You get me? Because whether we're doing it intentional or unintentional, we are creating the experience that we are experiencing. We are reaping what we sow, no matter if we're intentionally doing it or not. You get me? And shout out to Coach Amy. Coach Amy is a coach at my studio that I work out at. And I checked on her the other day through text message and she texted me, and she's a beast. You know what I mean? She's super inspiring. She's a mom of 3 girls and she does a lot. Like, she's a beast. And she texted me. I was like, "What are you up to?" And she texted me. She was like, "I just got done at the park, got my journal out, journaled, and I feel refreshed. I feel renewed." You know? And that's that's one of the things, right? We talk about knowing yourself. We talk about loving yourself. We talk about that connection that we have with God. When you journal, you heighten that connection. You heighten the connection that you have with your intuition. I was talking to my boys the other day and I came up with this analogy because me personally, when I'm most connected to my intuition is the moments when I'm most present. I feel most present. And in the present moment, that's where the magic is. That is where the magic is where when we're most present. You get what I'm saying? So, journaling, I feel like it strengthens your intuition and also allows you to truly be able to understand the things that you're feeling, the thoughts that you're having. And then there's something very, very special about getting what's on your mind and your heart out onto paper that leads to clarity. And a lot of times is we just need clarity, right? We need to get it out on paper, not typing it on our phones. That's cool too in the situations where you might not have your journal. I do that as well. But taking that moment to disconnect, to reconnect to yourself, I think of it as like the bars on your phone, right? We typically have 5 bars when we're in a good area, a good service area. And I feel like when I'm most connected to my intuition, I'm at a 5. I'm at 5 bars, which also means that I'm the most aligned with myself. Now, when I'm walking in alignment and I feel aligned, I feel like I'm getting the most out of that moment, out of that time. So ideally, I want to be aligned as much as I can. You get what I'm saying? Because God is always talking to us. God is always giving us signs and giving us directions on what we should do, right? A lot of times we try to think our way out of situations and we let the stress and we let the responsibilities of life kind of have us in shambles. And I'm definitely an overthinker. I be in my head so much. You get what I'm saying? Trying to solve all of the problems. Sometimes we just need to get it out. But the thing is, we weren't taught to express ourselves, really. You know? We weren't taught to express our emotions. And especially as women, I know there's a lot of women that listen to me. We weren't taught that. Um, but with the 5 bars, I feel like in situations where I'm most present, I'm at a 5. I'm at a 5 connection. I can hear my intuition loud and clear, and I can know what decisions I need to make in my life. And I feel like when I'm at a 1, I'm out of my alignment. You get what I'm saying? So journaling is one of those things that is is profound, and it's for everyone. It doesn't matter how successful you are or not. Journaling can directly impact and change your life. And journaling is what led me to manifesting my wife. And my mom would say that I was a serial go back to your exer. The guys in the room are laughing, but it's true. And she's right. I
Could you could,
remember,
could you explain that?
yeah, I was always someone that, and I think a lot of us can resonate with this. We go back to what's familiar, even though some doors may be closed. God may have closed some doors, and we try to turn around and walk back through those doors. And I remember, because my whole dating life, I always just wanted my person. You know what I mean? I always wanted that person that I could just count on, my person, to give me the love that I always gave to other people. I always wanted that. I used to be a player and stuff too. You know what I mean? I have my days, I have my times, but I remember a few months um before actually meeting my wife. I went to my mom's house and I was like, man, I'm about to go back to this ex. I'm about to hit this ex back up. And my mom flipped. My mom flipped on me. And she was like, no. She was like, you always going back to an ex. And she explained to me, God has already closed that door. So if I turn around, open that door, and try to walk back through that door, I'm actually preventing my wife, my true soulmate, from coming into my life. And y'all know my mom's aggressive. She was turned about it. But when she said it, like I felt it. Like, I truly, truly felt it, and she stopped me. She stopped me from, and even back then, I didn't listen to my mom like that. Who listens to their mom? You know what I mean? Like, we gotta learn our shit the hard way. Like, you feel me? But the message landed. It landed, and I went home that night. I went home that night and I picked up a book that I had, and I wasn't actively journaling back then, like at all. But this night, it led me to opening up that book. And I did 2 pages, I did 2 entries that night. And the first thing I wrote down was a prayer. It was a prayer slash letter, and I titled it to my future wife. And in that letter, I I wrote a letter to her as if I already knew her. And in that letter, I detailed and scripted out exactly what our marriage would feel like, look like, how I would treat her, how I would hope she would treat me, the love that we would share. I wrote that out. I wrote that out. I remember I started it saying, "Man, I wonder what you're doing right now. And I can't wait to meet you. 'Cause I can't wait to hear about the journey and what it took for you to get to me." Like, I was in my bag, like, and I honestly don't even know where this came from, but I was in my bag with it. And I was in the letter saying, "God is preparing me for you, and this is what our relationship is gonna be like." And the second page, I wrote a list. It's like I designed my wife. I put the characteristic traits. I put that she was gonna be light-skinned with curly hair, beautiful smile, a nice body. And it was a list about 10 things, and one day I'll share that list with you guys as well. I have it with me, not in the room, but I do have it. I actually just sent a picture of it to my wife, the other day. But I was so detailed. I was so detailed in this list, and I wrote that on March 19th of 2019. And on June 6th of 2019, my wife DM'd me. And my mom told me too. When she went off on me, she was like, "Relax, chill out. God is preparing your wife for you, and she's going to come to you. You're not going to have to go find her. She's going to come to you." And that's literally exactly how it happened. My wife came to me. She DM'd me. She reached out to me first. And not only did she make first contact, but she also bought her own flight and came to see me all the way across the pond from the UK. So that is that's the first that was the first time that and it just happened it happened so fast. It happened mad fast. Like, I wrote the letter in March, she wrote me in June. And that's when I was really able to see, holy shit. Like, the only thing that she didn't have, sorry, babe, but I guess not sorry because you're from another country. The only thing that she didn't have that was on the list was good credit. You know what I mean? She ain't really had no credit. That was literally, I promise you, the only
That's
thing
big
on the
too.
list.
That's super big,
Yeah.
especially nowadays, you know?
Yo,
What was the credit score on the list?
700. Like, she gotta have 7 because, my credit was shot. So I'm like, shorty gotta have good credit. But literally everything else, from the way that she loves me, the way that she cares for me, how beautiful she is inside, outside, how creative she is, how she pushes me, motivates me, down to what she looks like. I even put the height that I wanted her to be at. But everything that I scripted came through. Now, this is the part that is most I think is most important, that when I wrote that letter and I wrote that list, I didn't look back at it. I didn't go back to it at all. I almost forgot that I even wrote it. You know what I mean? So I put my desires out there, and I was extremely, extremely specific, and God delivered. And they say, "Ask and you shall receive." You get what I'm saying?
Amen.
Amen. They
Amen to
say,
that.
ask and you shall receive. And I truly believe that. I truly believe that. And another thing too is like we're so powerful. But if we can acknowledge that we are powerful, if you can accept that you are a powerful being, that you are a creator, and we didn't come here on our earth to suffer and to be in confusion. There is another way and there is another path. You get what I'm saying? But it's got to be a daily routine. You have everything to gain and nothing to lose when it comes down to journaling. Now there's different techniques and different things work for different people. You get what I'm saying? But it first starts with making it a habit. So there's 2 times in the day that I think are the most crucial. I mean, anytime you could pull out your journal and jot something down, it's a win. I look at it as a daily deposit
Even if
into
it's
yourself.
anything,
Anything.
a sentence, a word,
Anything.
anything.
That's a fact. Anything. There's 2 times of the day that I feel like a lot of people don't know that the first 15 minutes that we wake up and the last 15 minutes of our day before we go to sleep, our brains, our minds are the most susceptible to being programmed. You can literally program your brain. I think it's called theta and beta. You guys familiar with that?
Nah, what is that?
It's a state that a theta and beta state. First 15 minutes in the morning when we wake up, that first 15 minutes, that window right there, our mind is the most susceptible to being
Yep,
hypnotized.
100%.
100%.
Most people wake up, the first thing they do, check their phone,
Get on those phones.
and they don't give themselves at least 15 minutes just to breathe, just to relax the mind.
Yeah.
Everyone starts their day off so hectic.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. I feel most people should honestly turn their phone off when they go to sleep.
And it's so hard. It's so hard. Like have morning routine. So my we're talking about morning routines. This is the morning routine that I'm working on, and it's not 100% perfect. The last 2 days I had a perfect morning routine. My biggest thing is not touching that phone. And it doesn't happen every day, of course, but this is my perfect morning routine. Wake up, hydrate. I keep a bottle of water with ice by the side of my bed. First thing, drink, get hydrated. Second thing, I go to my desk. I open up my journal. Now we're going to talk about some journaling techniques as well. The one that I'm actively using is just a brain dump. So my first paragraph. So ultimately what I'm doing is I'm filling up one page. I force myself to execute one full page of thoughts and just get everything out, what I'm feeling, what I'm thinking, what my intentions are for the day, my prayers, what I want to happen, how I want my day to go, and then my gratitude list. Because I find myself personally, and you guys probably could for sure relate to this as well, our minds as humans tend to gravitate towards the negatives, right?
That's a big one.
It's a big one.
That's a big one.
It's a big
Everyone
one.
seems to focus on, and I also feel that has to do with gratitude, appreciating with what you have, and everyone's so focused on the negative that they're not able to manifest positivity right in the morning, which is, I think, one of the most important, and I'm sure you would agree.
What's the importance of gratitude?
Oh
The
man,
importance.
there's so many reasons just for that.
Yep.
Well, let her tell me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%.
My man,
Yeah,
nah,
100%.
get in there.
I'm just an outsider. You know what I
No,
mean?
for sure.
I'm just an outsider, but
So the question was, what's the importance of gratitude? The way I see it is that life is an absolute mirror. Life is a mirror, and life reflects back to you what you are on the inside. So You ever walked into a room after someone's had an argument or a fight and you could feel the energy, you could feel the tension, right? And it rubs off on you. You know, if I have a really good vibe and you come around me, that good vibe's gonna rub off on you. But if I got a shitty vibe, that's also gonna rub off on you
It's
because
like that bad juju.
that bad juju. Because energy cannot be created. We can't create energy, right? And we can't destroy energy. Energy can only be transferred, but cannot created or destroyed. So I believe the um the importance of gratitude, right, is when you are in a state of gratitude, God gives you more things to be grateful for. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So when you acknowledge the things that are going well, you put yourself in a higher frequency. Just like if I'm negative about a situation, I'm gonna have a negative experience. You know, if I go to try a new restaurant and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna like this, and I'm being negative about it, 9 times out of 10, I'll attract a negative situation. You know, so the universe doesn't give you what you want. The universe gives you what you are, right? And this is not an outside thing. We are very obsessed with the outside. It's inside out. Everything is happening from the inside out. You feel me? So when you start your day with acknowledging shit, yo, okay, I got a house, I got food, I have a place of work, I have beautiful kids, right? Gratitude. You start with that gratitude, you can attract more things to be grateful for. I notice it within myself on the days, like I said, I'm still working on it. I am nowhere near perfect. You feel me? But I truly notice that on the days where I wake up and I pick up my phone and I scroll for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, my day is off to not even just my day, but not just my morning, but my entire day. It's not set up for success, but I notice when I get up and I hit that water and I hit that journal and I do 10 pages of reading a self-help book and I meditate and I spend time with God, it's kind of like putting season on your chicken, right? You're not gonna put that chicken in the pot with no season on it. So when you wake up in the morning, you're taking that time out for yourself. You're taking that time to connect with yourself. You're taking that time to truly get into the driver's seat of your life, of your day, and control the narrative of your day instead of getting into the backseat of our own lives. That's kind of how I think about it, because if you don't set that direction, you leave it up to chance. You know, you're susceptible to anything controlling your energy in your day.
So by chance, you're you're pretty much saying you're leaving it up to your mental state.
Yeah. Your mental state, your frequency, you know what I'm saying? And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, that some of us, we all know someone, or maybe even you, that's been doing the same thing, the same routine for years, right? We go to work, we come home, we might catch a show, right? Might eat some food, we go to sleep, we wake up, we do it again. You know, unfortunately, I check in every once in a while with people that I used to work with, you know, and they're still doing the same things. And I don't say that from a place of judgment whatsoever,
Of course.
but I say it from a place of
Love, you know?
love.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love.
Absolutely love, because I just feel like we weren't programmed to understand that we have the power. You got the power.
To
All you
do
have to
anything.
do to do anything. And before we can manifest it, before we can experience it, before we can touch it and feel it and live it, it starts here. It starts in our mind. It starts in our body. It starts in our heart. You know what I mean? And that's where setting your intention comes into play.
So you're almost saying it's like a magnet. So the more gratitude you have, the more you attract. The more abundance you have, the more you attract. Do you think, going back to the visualization, going back
Yeah.
to that, when you're visualizing it and you feel that you have it already, like the 369 method, I don't know if you practice
Yeah,
that.
369.
Do you think that if you feel that you're already in that situation, that it's just going to attract more of that?
Absolutely. But the thing with manifestation, and I remember the first time I came across a manifestation coach online, and he was just showing his scripts and showing how he scripted out his entire life, and I was so
Like you
amazed.
journaled it?
Yeah, he journaled it. He was a manifestation coach, and this is years ago. And I was amazed at the thought, at the concept of manifesting, and it just kind of seemed like magic. And I tried it for years, and I was never connected to it, And I think that's what it is right there. It's like we can write something down, we can write our affirmations. I am powerful. I am beautiful. I'm rare, I'm unique, I am destined for greatness. But if we're not connected to it and we don't actually believe it, that's the disconnect right there. That's the disconnect. And, it doesn't happen overnight. Just like with anything, it takes work, it takes time, repetition, repetition. But the more you do it and the more you stick with it, you begin to see the fruits of that labor. You truly do. You begin to feel a shift within yourself. Like if you can catch yourself and you can just be aware, like imagine that you're outside of yourself looking in on your life and looking in on your behaviors and on your habits, because the only thing that separates someone that's intentionally creating the life that they desire and achieving abundance and success and love is that intention, right? Is the desire. You get what I'm saying?
So like pretty much P when we were talking earlier, we spoke on intention
Yeah.
and pure intention. And she was pretty much telling me how most people nowadays they'll do things without almost as without a goal, without a purpose. They're just doing things just because of it. And it could be work, school, you know, podcasts, all of it.
Yeah.
But if you don't set an intention, it's almost purposeless because
There it is right there.
you're not giving yourself that purpose, that real reason of why you're doing something.
Absolutely. You answered your own question for real. It's the purpose. And to answer your question, Colin, when you have when you set an intention, to me, this is how I feel about intentions, right? And also leading with pure intentions. It's like a game plan. I'm a former athlete. I used to play basketball, and so I always go back to the athlete's mindset. I wouldn't touch the court. We wouldn't touch the court without a plan, right? The coach is going to call a play that we're going to run, and that play is going to help us score a goal, right? That's the intention for that play. Um, I feel like if we don't have intentions, especially pure intentions, we just kind of leave things up to chance, so to speak. We go wherever the wind blows us when we don't have pure intentions for ourselves and pure intentions for others. And then everything we do, there's cause and effect. There's a ripple effect, right?
100%.
If you take a rock and you throw it in a body of water, throw it in a lake, you can see the ripples. You can see the ripples. So every single thing that we do, whether we're intentional or whether it's conscious, has a ripple effect. You get what I mean? And that's what I think that's what I think journaling is. It's a deposit. And just like the gym, we go to the gym. If I go to the gym for a week straight, work out as hard as I can, I won't see results in 1 week.
Delayed gratification.
Delayed gratification. But if I keep that routine up for a year, I'll look back and I'll be a totally different person.
Just loving the process, but you also had intention throughout that whole time.
Absolutely. And keeping a pure, like having pure intentions, I feel like you just can't lose when your intentions are pure. And it also helps, it also helps, it also helps you take accountability and know that at the end of the day, the only person that you can actually control is yourself. And life is gonna life. We're gonna experience life. Life be lifing. I know a lot of us feeling life right now. Lifing on our ass, right? But we can't control the outside exteriors. We can only control ourselves. We can only control how we show up. We can only control how we react, right? If something really bad happens today, we can react like this or we can react like that. There's a really funny like trend on TikTok where the fitness influencers are doing it, and it's like they're making like examples of like one thing going wrong. Like let's say you pour some cereal, right? And your milk splashes everywhere. So you throw away the whole cereal bowl. You feel me? And that shit is mad.
That's crazy.
It's just mad funny. You get what I mean? But
So Pete, one of the things you were talking about was journaling, right? And having like intentions to journal. I honestly look up to you because you've been able to journal. I've maybe journaled a few times here and there, and it was probably during like my darkest times. But it's hard. It's hard to, like you said, take accountability for your emotions, your anger, and stuff like that. And I feel, at least people for me who don't have that will or like that discipline that you have, how would you be able to like, give some advice on that in order to like help somebody get more comfortable to journal more, like me, for example,
like Nike say, you just got to do it. There's no,
Yeah.
like I said earlier, it's simple to do. It's also simple not to do, but you just got to do it. And with discipline is you got to make a plan and you have to commit to it, and you got to start small. You don't have to start big. You don't got to start with 3 pages of journaling. Maybe start with 2 minutes. Maybe commit to 2 minutes a day. If that's too much, commit to 1, and then make it easy for yourself. If you commit, okay, I'm going to journal first thing in the morning when I wake up. So go ahead and put the journal right by the side of your bed. And this is also important too.
Making it easier for yourself
Make it
so you have no excuse to
no
not do it.
excuse. And guess what? There's going to be no one, like I'm not going to be at the I'm not going to be at the side of your bed making sure that you journal, you know what I
Uh-huh.
mean?
You got to do it for yourself.
But you got to do it for yourself, but you just got to give a fuck enough. You get what I'm saying? Like
That pure intention.
pure, you have to have a pure intention for
That's the
yourself.
pure
You
intention.
gotta care enough about yourself. We talk about self-love and we think self-love is getting our nails done. We think self-love is buying clothes. We think self-love is going out to eat. Those are cool things that are gonna make us feel good in the moment, right? But what the hell is happening on the inside? We're human beings, but what we truly are is we're souls having a human experience, you know? And journaling is one of those things that nurtures our soul. So to answer your question, make it easy for yourself and commit to something small. I challenge you to commit 7 days straight, 2 minutes of journaling. If you can make it 5, make it 5. Once you get started and once you get into that flow, you're gonna be in it. You might not wanna stop. You get what I'm saying? You might not even wanna stop. And now I wanna talk about the techniques because I can hear it now. I don't know what to journal. And some days I wake up and I stare at the page. I have pages in my journal that just has the date and nothing else because I couldn't get anything out. But that's where the techniques come in. One of my favorite techniques is just the brain dump. Dump it. Dump it, dump it, dump it, dump it. And then talk to God. Holla at God. Yo, God, it would be dope if this happened today. You know what I'm saying? Help me with this. This is what's on my mind. This is what's stressing me out. Help me with this. I'm unclear on this situation. I'm feeling uneasy about this. Show me a sign. Point me into the right direction, right? And then you got your gratitude list. And then you also have, you know, one of the things that has been the most profound for me when journaling is connecting with my future self, right? When I used to be in corporate America, they would ask us, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years?" I hated that question. I hated that question so much. But I've come to now envision my future self. Like I have a clearer picture of who I want to be in the future, how I walk, how I talk, how I act, how I dress, who I hang around, how much money is in my bank account, how many people I impact, the type of relationships I have, the type of connections that I have. So if you never thought about your future self, which is the highest version of you that you wanna achieve, step into your ultimate power, that's also a really good technique. Write a letter to your future self. And then you can also reverse it. Write a letter from your future self to your current self, right? Imagine your future self has already achieved all of the things that you want to achieve. And I'm talking think big, dream big. Don't put no cap on it because the sky is the limit. And if it's here on the planet and you've seen other human beings achieve it, what's really different between you and them? And it's not your situation, it's not your circumstances, because we can definitely find examples of people that has been in really shitty situations. And in fact, I believe that the more trials and tribulations that you go through, the stronger you are and the more equipped you are to go after those things. Right? Like I told you, we don't cry to give up, we cry to keep going. And we go through battles, right? But it's to make us stronger, get stripes on our jacket. So when you envision, you gotta have a clear vision for yourself. If you listening to me right now and you can't imagine your highest level, you have to spend time reflecting on that. You gotta craft that because you don't have a request. Right? You don't have a if you don't have a vision for the future, then you're probably building someone else's dream or helping build someone else's future, not yours. But your life is about you. Your life is all about you. Like your journey needs you. You need to pay attention to you. Yeah, it may be hard. Yeah, it may be scary, but if you have a kid, you're gonna take care of that kid. You're gonna make sure that kid has everything it needs. You're gonna make different all these sacrifices for your kid. But what about you? Let's get loud about this. Trust me, you will have a mindset shift. And I promise you that. And if you don't, I give you your money back. Money back guarantee, baby. You feel what I'm saying? So we've talked about journaling. We've talked about manifesting our perfect partners, our soulmates, and we've talked about leading with pure intentions. So we've touched on a lot of things today that I truly, truly believe in. And I truly believe, like always tell you guys, if you show up to this podcast with an open mind and an open heart, you're going to leave with something. We're going to leave with something. You feel me? So make sure you guys tag me on Instagram. Drop your comments down below. Let me know that you're game that you're in. And let's take control of our lives. Let's not leave it up to chance. Let's take control. Let's own it. And let's create a life that we truly want to live. A life that we don't need no vacation from. A life that we are excited by, energized by, and you know what I mean? Gets us piped up, makes you happy. Yeah. Hell yeah. Man, it's been real. I wanna thank the fellas that's in the room today. You guys are super incredible. I really, really appreciate you guys. I appreciate having you guys. I was a little nervous today. Y'all know I typically don't have no one in the room, but you know what I mean? We on episode 6. 75% of the podcast don't make it past episode 4. We're on episode 6, guys. This is incredible. I'm extremely, extremely humble, and my heart is full, and I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this journey, and I tell you guys all the time, I'm showing up scared and I'm showing up nervous, but this is just so much bigger than me. This is for us. This is for you. I thank you for showing up. I appreciate you for listening, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. It's been real.